Hello, I'm Hector Navarro, and welcome to Film Ranks, the show where we come in with a top 10 list and using our huge brains generate the definitive top 5 for all you discerning rock stars. Today's rankings will be our top 5 most horrifying moments in a non-horror film. But before we get to that, a reminder that the list we create here today will be out on our main channel as a listicle and hosted by yours truly. You can see the live discussion on this channel here, the Breakroom, and you can see our definitive list on the main channel. Now, let's dive in. With us to discuss all of these horrifying non-horror moments, our definitive MCU expert, Erik Voss.
Hello, everyone. I'm ready to re-traumatize myself.
And all-around life of every party, Tommy Bechtold.
Hey! Okay.
Oh my gosh, Tommy. Okay, boys, before we get into this, Erik, are you excited to share your list? What's your favorite thing about this topic?
Well, I think it's an important topic. I think everyone watching has had that moment at some point where you're just cozying back, ready to just watch a simple classic film that seems that it's okay for all audiences,
Not
and then
so simple.
bam,
Not so simple.
director hits you with something that is completely inexplicable, random, unexplained horror. That's not okay. And we need to process this. We need to go through some therapy together. I think we're going to come together and figure this out and move on.
I love that. I cannot wait to come together. Tommy, what about you? Do you have anything on your list that you're second guessing?
Right now, the only thing I'm really second guessing is gifting Erik frequent flyer miles to come back down here to get wiped off the floor. Camera 4, real quick. I want to thank JetBlue for the frequent flyer miles. JetBlue, they're kind of like Spirit Airlines, but their Wi-Fi never works, and you don't have to pay for drinks because they don't have any on the flight.
Yeah. All right. There we go. Very nice. JetBlue. Always just bring a Game Boy. That's the solution. There's no Wi-Fi. Bring
always
a Game Boy.
Bring a Game A, always B, bring G, Game Boy.
ABG. Okay, great. Let's do this. Let's get into the rules. So here are the rules. We are going to go through each one of our contestants' lists, one ranking at a time, where they will have 30 seconds to briefly tell us why they chose each moment and why it's in their ranking where it is. After we have seen their full lists, we're then going to take those 10, 5 from Mr. Voss, 5 from Mr. Bechtold, and we'll work together to generate the definitive, authoritative, very well-informed top 5 for all time, or at least until we revisit this topic again when the new movie in the franchise releases.
Now, Hector, let me interrupt you real quick. These are admissible in court, right?
Oh, 100%.
People can actually use these to get off of murder charges.
Absolutely, yeah. Camera 4 real quick. No, I don't have that. No, don't do that. Okay,
Camera
here we
4
go.
will just be the side of your face.
I know. Okay, so, Erik, we're going to start with you.
Yeah.
What is your number 5 ranking?
Okay, my number 5 ranking is from the 2019 winner for Best Picture in 2020 Oscars, Parasite.
Oh, yeah.
When the man's face appears at the base of the dark staircase coming up from the basement, haunting the kid, this kid to think that there is a ghost in this house. And the reason I put it on here, we'll go into more in a second, but I just think this is a movie that none of us expected to have a horror vibe unless you just saw the trailer. But as you're watching the movie, you just think, oh, this is a nice like social commentary.
Drama.
And then now, yeah, okay, so we'll get into it more, but I was not expecting this to happen, and it traumatized me.
I love if somebody's watching right now and they haven't seen Parasite, they're going to be like, a man's face? What's so... Trust, it's really terrifying.
You gotta see the guy's face. Yikes.
You gotta see it.
Not what I'd call
Tommy.
a male model.
Tommy,
Yeah?
what is your... Let's start with you. What's your number 5? Show it to us at the top of your little list here.
Okay, Hector, the first day of kindergarten.
30
senior
seconds.
prom.
30 seconds.
Your wedding day. These are seminal moments in your life. Joining that list today, watching those damn monkeys fly out in The Wizard of Oz. Terrifying.
Wow.
One of the most terrifying moments of my life. Fly!
It's a moment you can hear. You know what the sound of that, the
Yes.
music of that sounds like.
I
Great
think
moment.
sensory is a huge
Yeah.
defense point in these rankings.
Absolutely. Erik, back over to you. What is your number 4 moment?
Okay, my number 4 ranking, I'm sure a lot of you have this in your head, from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Large Marge. The truck driver who we thought was just picking up a hitchhiking Pee-wee, and then suddenly Tim Burton, a director none of us really knew, he suddenly hits us with insane animation.
Yeah.
We move on from it, it's never addressed, and none of us knew what to take away from that moment.
Wow.
I love Erik
Horrifying.
briefly providing the context, too. They're like, Tim Burton was not Tim Burton at that point when that movie came out. It was like, oh, this is a quaint little fun kids movie.
Yeah, Large Marge is what taught us to who Tim Burton was, and then we never trusted him after that point.
That's true. Tommy, back over to you. Number 4, Quattro. What do you got?
Well, with number 4, you have my axe, my bow, my sword, and my desire to turn into a full-blown demon man hobbit as Bilbo Baggins Gollum's out goes from sweet little Ian Holm into nasty little Ian Holm in a matter of seconds. We trusted him.
A wonderful moment in a PG-13 movie that I still remember, the theater, 2001, seeing that, how everyone jumped. Everyone jumped at that moment. Super unexpected. Yeah. Nicely done. Eric, back over to you. Number 3. What do you have? Non-horror film moment.
Okay, number 3 film. Some people might say this actually is a horror film in retrospect, but only because of this scene. Is it raining? Is it blowing? Is a hurricane a-blowing? I think I screwed it up there because all I can remember is just Gene Wilder's terrifying smile as he sang his weird little song on the Chocolate River in Willy Wonka's in the Chocolate Factory. This is a horrifying moment, and Gene Wilder has even said, yes, I wanted it to scare children. He played it that way, and it's not fair.
You know what? Such a scary moment. It made me make a chocolate river in my pants.
Wow.
Yeah.
Liquefied
poop. Also,
that's heat.
To your credit, I will prove this right now, once and for all. That is still a family film. You know how I know this? Because I worked at Blockbuster Video when that was still a thing.
Oh.
And that movie was not in the horror section. It was in the family section.
It's true.
It should have been in the horror section. Half of the 80s family movies should have been in the horror section.
You know, Tommy, back over to you with your number 3 ranking. What is your moment in a non-horror film, scary moment?
I actually think I agree with Eric on this film. We both have this film on our list. This movie is full of horrifying moments, but for me, in Pee-wee's Big Adventure, horrifying moment number 1 is, of course, the surgery nightmare.
That's an excellent pick. That's an excellent pick. Back over to you, Eric, for number 2. We're almost there.
My number 2 from Who Framed Roger Rabbit, my favorite Robert Zemeckis film. Yeah, screw you, Forrest Gumps. And I don't know how I put this over the Polar Express, but Who Framed Roger Rabbit, of course, Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom when he reveals himself. With the dagger eyes and the voice. And it's not the eyes, it's the voice. It's the voice.
Yes.
None of us expected that. Now the dip is terrifying, but yes, this none of us saw this coming.
That cartoon deserved to die in the dip.
The shoe?
Yeah.
Or
the shoe.
The shoe was
or Doom.
No.
See, that shoe,
Okay.
killed a lot of kids.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you guys don't know this. The shoe was a child murderer. All right.
Jeez Louise. Tommy, back over to you with your number 2.
Well, yeah, what is a Sam Raimi superhero film if not a horror film persevering?
Ooh.
And that's
I
why
can think
I
of a couple
have
examples.
Multiverse of Madness.
Great.
Demon Wanda.
Yes.
Demon Wanda crawling out of a mirror. All right. I'm more
out of
scary than her cracking her own shoulder blade.
Ringu style.
I don't think we knew that she was as contorted as she was until she snapped back into place.
That was crazy. That was absolutely nuts. Okay, and now we are in the end game. Eric, what is your number 1 choice for most horrifying moment in a non-horror film?
Okay, might not have been in everyone's list, but for those of you who remember this, you'll know why it's my number 1. Superman 3, yes, the one with Richard Pryor, the scene where Vera, the villain's sister, gets turned into a cyborg. There's a couple shots where it's just horrifying, and specifically, none of us saw this coming, and body horror, where you do not expect body horror, is something that stays with you for a lifetime.
Yeah, that moment was fantastic. Tommy, back over to you. What's your numero 1?
Wow, speaking of body horror, and what a body we're committing horror on. Hayden Christensen.
There it is.
Obi-Wan Kenobi makes an Anakin kebab in Revenge of the Sith. Upset I was.
Okay, great. Great. And that is our top 10. Congrats to all of us for all of our hard work. I didn't do anything. Now it is time to generate our definitive top 5. The rule here is that you have to use at least one of each other's picks. I said look, not sniff, but that's okay. And you're also going to be using one from the community, one of the picks from the community, all right?
Okay.
We're going to have a discussion. We're going to get into it. We're going to roll up our sleeves, the nitty-gritty. We've decided potentially to delete some. We've decided which one of the community ones we're going to pick. We're going to go through that right now. We've got 3 community picks that we're going to go over right here, and all of us are going to unanimously vote on which one's going to fit into our ranking. You guys ready?
I'm dubious. I don't know that the community can get scared.
Oh, they might not.
The community collectively gets more scared than the individual.
That's true. That's true. I feel like that's what they said in Men in Black, right? That's the quote.
People are dumb.
Yep. But a person is smart.
Yeah.
Okay, guys. So we've got some great picks here. First of all, scariest moment in a non-horror film. The community picked Willow. That moment.
Good pick.
Terrifying.
Queen Bavmorda turning the soldiers into a pig. Next up from the community, a little movie called E.T. the Extraterrestrial, Sick and Dying E.T.
Now we're talking about when Michael finds him by the river, he's pale, and a raccoon's trying to eat him.
Oh my God, yes.
That is pretty haunting and horrifying.
Really scary.
Yeah. I don't know. That
Really
always just
scary.
made me more sad than scared.
It is sad, but it's like, your heart
Aren't you
sinks.
scared that E.T.'s going to die?
No, I don't fear death.
Okay.
Not for aliens.
And
I
lastly,
think they all deserve to die.
this is a really great pick. Lastly, we have the fantastic family film Return to Oz, sequel to Wizard of Oz.
God.
With those fucking wheelies. Remember those guys?
The wheelies with their weird
wheelies.
laughter and their graffiti.
The type of acrobatic Cirque du Soleil bullshit that you can't, as a kid, understand physically how it's a person, but you know it's a person and not a puppet.
Yeah.
That's even scarier.
Now, this was Walter Murch, a longtime Lucasfilm sound editor and editor. And because of George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola's like, we like this guy. Disney, Buena Vista Pictures, like, sure, direct a Wizard of Oz sequel. And this haunted people so much that the guy never directed another movie after this.
Wow.
But he's one of the best editors in the industry, wrote the best book on editing.
Well, he should have edited this out of the movie.
He created the concept of selling clothing and cups with your likeness on it, right?
Did he?
Walter Murch.
Oh. I stepped right into
full
that
name
one.
merchandise. That's right. So, fellas, which of these three, Willow, E.T., Return to Oz, which one do you think is going to be the scariest?
Okay, well, I think Return to Oz, you already feel like it's a horror film.
Okay.
The moment that movie begins, it's already, that's like one of many scary things that happens in Return to Oz.
So that's your vote for you?
So it is of these, I think, the most frightening, but I would say Return to Oz is a horror film.
Yeah.
What do you think, Tom?
Yeah.
I mean, nothing scared me like the baby turning into a pig when I was a kid.
Really? All
I
right,
think
you know what?
because also, the age that I am, Willow came out when I was like a toddler.
That's
And
right.
I probably watched it when I was 5.
Yeah,
so,
too scary.
I think Willow belongs on the list for sure.
I'll do the tiebreaker here, though. I am going to go Return to Oz with Murch. That
I was at the
brilliant
tiebreaker.
Murch-
We both voted for.
You both voted for. You both what? You
No,
both
I
voted for Willow?
disqualify Return to Oz.
Oh.
I'm with Tommy. I think
What kind
Willow.
of weird
Wow.
dictatorship is this? What are you, the sorceress from Willow, turning people into pigs?
Whoa.
Call me Queen Bavmorda.
I don't know what I was doing here now. Cut that out.
Don't
please,
do that
Walter.
again. Don't do Walter Murch. Cut it out. All right, fine. We're gonna go with Willow. Baby turns into a pig. So, guys, now you have that as the community pick.
That
You also
has
have
to go on the list.
Your previous 5. You can decide to use up to 4 of them. And you do have to use one of each other's
Oh boy.
Okay.
previous 5 picks.
Okay.
So, Eric, you got to use at least one of Tommy's. You can decide to use more than one.
Okay.
What do we got? Like an hour to do this?
No, you've got just a few minutes because we are live.
Okay,
people.
well,
we're live.
I'm definitely going to use Tommy's Bilbo jump scare because that slipped my mind, and that is not otherwise or a scary movie.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
moments like the ring race are pretty creepy, but
Carol.
otherwise it's just that is a true jump scare.
Yes.
That Peter Jackson is going back to his horror roots.
Absolutely.
That's like Sam Raimi likes to put in a jump scare. This is a true jump scare, and I watch this movie every year, and that always gets me.
Well,
Close to the best.
I'm not going to be as forthcoming with information as
fine.
Eric, but I will say this. Jump scares are heavy on my mind in terms of what makes a horror movie moment. Because for me, true horror is when a cat runs across a piano and goes clink, 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 clink when you're not expecting it. That's the most horrifying
and then
thing.
a second cat runs by that looks exactly like the first cat. And you're
Yes.
like, is this a glitch?
Why are there 2 cats?
There's 2 cats. What did you just say? There's 2 cats. I saw them. I got deja vu. Great, horrifying moment in an otherwise
Great.
not scary. Excellent choice, friends. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, we're going to begin the rankings, the official rankings. So
Begin
stick
the
around.
rankings.
This is Film Ranks. We'll be right back. And we're back to Film Ranks. Thank you so much for joining us. We got a fantastic second half of the game coming up right now. So we have already got Erik Voss's top 5 list, Tommy Bechtold's top 5 list, and we also, before the break, picked a community pick. Excellent choice. Willow turning the baby into the pig. I would have picked Wheelies from the Return to Oz, but Willow, excellent pick. So now, between these 2 geniuses and my stewardship, we're going to come up with the definitive top 5 scariest moments in a non-horror film. That's going to happen right now. We're going to have to use any combination of these gentlemen's top 5s, plus at least using the Willow one once. Tommy, Eric, are you guys ready?
Yes.
We're in this together. Teamwork makes the dream work. Let's go. Let's get to it.
Is this a buzz-in type
No,
thing?
it's not a buzz-in type
Okay.
game.
Well, I just wanted to show off
Tommy,
that I...
right out of the bat, though, do you have any strong feelings as to what you
I do,
believe
and this
should
is
be
going
on
to
this
shock the
list?
world because I'm on record as not liking Eric. But I agree with Eric's number 5, Parasite. I don't think that needs to be moved at all. Man appears from Dark Staircase, if I may.
Please, go ahead. Parasite.
And I gotta say, I wish I included on my list Tommy's Lord of the Rings Bilbo. I don't think it should be at number 4, though. I kind of feel like that should be at least number 3, maybe. I don't know between 3 and 2. But yeah, I think we have to decide, though. I don't think we can have 2 Pee-wees on the list.
Yeah.
Especially since we gotta include. So do we want to discount both of them?
Nope.
Or just include?
I don't think they cancel out. Let me tell you why. There's something far scarier about the Large Marge scene that we don't talk about.
Which is what?
Large Marge, according to the plaque commemorating her death in that film, is 37 years old. The actress playing Large Marge is not a day under 60. The fact that Large Marge aged to that horrific,
Trucker
no
life.
offense, I'm sure that actor is dust and bones now,
But
so
that
we
trucker
can't
life,
offend
man,
her.
it ages you.
That trucker life is tough. It's a lot of
Yeah.
methamphetamines. It's a lot of weird parking lot encounters.
So
I
do
think
we like this at
I'm
number
good
4?
with Large Marge. Simply terrifying.
Do we think it should be higher, number 4? I mean, once
Well-
we sort of have everything in place, then I think we can further debate, but how are you feeling about that? Tom?
I feel like the brevity of the scare, to me, I don't know how, it's a quick, I remember I was at my aunt's house when I watched this movie for the first time. That scene came on, I ran out of the room. And by the time I ran back in, could cut to a completely different thing.
Yeah.
So I think 4 is fair for that.
Okay, blink it and you'll miss.
Yeah, I think, to me, the fact that it's so short is what makes it so haunting.
Yes.
Because it's almost like, did I dream that?
Yeah.
Did that just happen?
So we've got this floating willow. Where are you guys feeling this should live on the top 5?
I'm looking at the rest of our list. I appreciate what you're saying about Parasite, though. I don't know if I would keep it floating down there.
Parasite? Okay.
Do you feel like Parasite is a better pick than these 3 or any of yours? Because
Well, here's the thing. I want to argue for my number 1.
Yeah.
Go for it.
I want
Go.
to
Tommy,
plead the case.
Why don't you surprise us and just
Fear-
go and place it?
Fear is sensory. Okay?
Okay.
Think about that as I walk. Fear is sensory.
Did you see this movie at your aunt's house as well in 2005?
I did not. I was a grown man. 2005. I'd already kissed a girl and done drugs. Okay.
Sure, buddy. Sure, buddy.
Now listen to me.
Okay. 2005.
Fear
Revenge of the
is
Sith.
sensory.
Sure.
This moment, this boy, are you an angel? We've now seen him become a full devil, okay? He's gone from little Jake Lloyd, traipsing around Tatooine with his droids. That's pod raising!
To the scariest actor alive.
Let's think about where they are, okay? They're on Mustafar.
Mustafar. Ugh.
The smells of Mustafar must be sulfuric. All of that lava, all of that fire. The smells must be unbearable. The flesh, the cooking flesh. That's the one sense. Touch. Anakin ain't touching nothing anymore because he's lost everything.
Hearing.
Phantom pains. The
Yes.
sounds. Very scary.
The
taste. You think there's any chance the ashes of Anakin's severed limbs didn't wind up in Obi-Wan's mouth a little bit?
They definitely did. They definitely did.
Okay.
And last but not least,
Sight. We straight up turned that man into a Raggedy Ann doll that had been a sadistic child had cut all the arms off of and then shaved its head.
Tommy, is that the first time watching that movie that you understood the fear of, I might have my limbs cut off and left to die?
I'll
at
tell
the
you what,
side
I
of a
went to my
volcano?
football coach the next day, who was a bit of a mentor figure to me, and I said,
Coach,
I quit.
Oh.
I said, I quit. Now, granted, I was 23, and they hadn't had me on the varsity team in a long time.
Yeah, you were still hanging out
He
at
was
the
like,
high
we
school.
cut you.
At the 23-year-old in 2005.
That's what I love about high school football.
Eric,
I get older, and the players stay the same age.
Eric, I really appreciate your patience for that entire Tommy rant.
Yeah.
Do you agree that that's the number one scary?
I
Because I
disagree.
sure don't. Okay, great.
I disagree.
Okay, great.
In fact, I'm maybe on the top 5, but here's the thing. It is horrifying and gruesome.
Yeah.
Is it scary, though? We all knew that Anakin was going to transition into Darth Vader at
Some
some
of y'all
point.
have never had flesh flakes in your mouth, and it shows.
That's fair.
You know, we probably should have defined what is scary at the top of this episode.
To me, it delivered what I wanted. It was
Yes.
more of cathartic to see this transition finally happen. It's like, this is what I was waiting for when I was
that
watching
is
the
true
prequels.
because we knew that he was going to become Darth Vader. That does make
We
sense.
need
Well,
to see-
we
I
didn't
didn't
know
know.
this guy was going to become Parasite.
I
You know what
didn't
mean?
know.
Oh, really?
I watched them in order. Once I found out that
The
A
way-
New Hope was called Episode 4, I
said, nope.
shut it off.
The way George intended, watching
Yeah.
them in order, the
That's
correct
right.
order.
For-
Okay.
For Tommy to make such a strong case, though, I think we should keep it in the mix.
Okay.
Just, I wouldn't put it at number
All right,
1.
put it down next to Parasite, and we'll talk about it.
Okay.
All right, Eric.
can I
Now
make
you
a-
get to make a long-winded point.
Look, to get the definitive list, my Vera becomes a cyborg from Superman 3. To me, that was my personal pick.
Sure.
I can imagine though a lot of people are like, I don't really. If you two feel like that doesn't belong in the top 5, let me know. What do you think?
Here's where that becomes horror to me. I
Yeah.
hear what you're saying about the body horror. The like robotic parts slapping onto her doesn't necessarily scare me. When she opens her eyes and they've ceased to become humanized and they're just gray blobs, that's always like, whenever a character becomes like a zombie and their eyes go kind of opaque or cloudy, that's always terrifying.
We're
to me.
talking eyes, though.
Yeah, that's
Gentlemen.
true.
Gentlemen.
That's what I was saying. I think
yeah.
Judge Doom, that for more people, stuck with them. These two, I think, if they are not in the top 5, I think we might get some objectives.
Can I ask you something, boys?
Yes.
Is there a chance Bilbo Baggins Gollum's out, Large Marge, Judge Doom reveals himself, and Vera becomes a cyborg, are all basically the same scene? It's all basically the same scare, right? It's pretty much the same. Something that we saw as normal before has now become completely abnormal, shockingly abnormal.
These two definitely are very similar.
But I'll give you this, and I'll give you this. The difference between Willy Wonka, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, and Lord of the Rings Superman is that Lord of the Rings Superman, I feel like, are a little bit more PG-13 realm, whereas the first group is child film. That's another big indicator of like an unexpected, traumatizing, scariest moment in a non-horror. I mean, if we're defining what is a non-horror film, you cannot get further away from non-horror than a family film.
Yeah.
So we got to take that into account too.
I
is
agree.
that that could lead to the memorable jump scare, the memorable scare.
So, and here's an interesting case for Who Framed Roger Rabbit, a movie that they do Chippendales now, they do Space Jam Legacy.
Yeah. That's
but
true.
in the 80s, a lot of us just thought that was a kid's movie.
Yeah.
It had Mickey Mouse
and
Roger
and
Rabbit
Looney Tunes.
and Looney Tunes
and Bugs Bunny,
and Bugs Bunny, and had all of them together. Even though watching it now as an adult, there's no way a kid's gonna understand what like redlining is and what like gentrification is. What the Hollywood history and the trolley
Scotch
strike.
on the rocks. I mean ice.
You go to Mickey Mouse's Toontown at Disneyland these days, and Roger Rabbit's wife Jessica, she's in like a detective trench coat.
Yeah. Right.
Because these days Disney's still like too sexy.
Well, I'll put it this way: you try to date a cartoon, they're not going to let you.
Man speaks from experience. All right.
He's on a list.
You know, it's the same thing happened to me, man. When Wreck-It Ralph came out, I tried to date Sergeant Tamara Jane Calhoun.
Lynch.
Yeah, Jane Lynch's character. Had a big time crush on her.
I have bad news for you about that character and the person who voiced her and her interest in you
Jane
potentially.
Lynch, really? She's the best. She's awesome. Love
No,
Jane
she's
Lynch.
great. I'm just saying maybe not interested in you.
Probably. You're probably right. You're probably
Let's
right.
go.
So using that metric of like, are you expecting it? Is it a kid's movie? I think Multiverse of Madness, we knew going into it. That was Sam Raimi's later films. We knew to expect some horror.
Yeah, I agree.
We've got
I'm with that.
on the board. Now we've got Wizard of Oz. This is another classic.
So again, I think Wizard of Oz has multiple scary moments that are in a movie that I mean, most people are introduced to the Wizard of Oz, I would say by age 6.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe not now. But growing up in the 80s and 90s, I feel like that, and certainly before that, I feel like that was an age 6 thing. So again, I agree. If we're narrowing it down to like these are movies for kids, I feel like the Flying Monkeys, maybe the Melting of the Witch. Maybe perhaps it was a misfire.
No,
maybe
I think
it was
the
always
Flying Monkeys is good. I mean, to me, that's the scariest thing. Whenever they showed up, freaked me out.
Well, and I'll say this: that Wizard of Oz scene with the Flying Monkeys turned my nephews off of any Dr. Seuss thing because any Dr. Seuss character reminded them of the Flying Monkeys. So we actually now have stupid kids in our family.
That's true.
Because they won't learn from the Dr. Seuss books because of. What's it? Frank Baum? Is that the guy who wrote?
L. Frank Baum.
And also, lose the L. It's cleaner.
Yeah, I agree. Tommy, I'm going to ask you this: can you make your way over to the top 5 list here?
Yeah.
The film rank. How does this make you feel? Do you want to move anything around? Do you want to pull anything from over here? Anything from down there? Anything from up there? Give us your take on it. Move stuff around. Get physical with it.
I'm gonna agree. Anakin's got to go.
Okay. Wow. All right.
That card just screamed, "I hate you."
You have the higher ground now. So what are we putting in its place? Tommy, what do we think? Parasite, Wizard of Oz, Flying Monkeys, the reason that children in your family can't read, or Parasite?
This is terrified me as a child, jump scared me as an adult. So
we've talked about the power of children. Okay, Eric, likewise, make your way over to the film ranks ranking here. If you're happy with it, you're happy with it. But is there anything else that you think we can move around? Even the order itself.
I gotta say something.
I like our top 2.
You do? Okay.
Well,
Tommy,
what were you
I
gonna
would
say?
flip flop them.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's my thing.
Judge
I think
Bilbo?
by the rules we've set here today, just purely by the fact that Judge Doom reveals himself is a movie is
Yes.
an out of nowhere in a movie that has so much child imagery, like
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse, as you said, Looney Tunes,
Childhood
Jessica
iconography.
Rabbit, the nourishment of her ample bosom yields to your childlike memories.
Okay, sure. I didn't think that, but that makes sense. Versus Lord of the Rings, I think was the first time when that film series came out when we were young, teenagers, preteen, adults, that it was like we were entering the world of Tolkien for the first time. But Roger Rabbit, we were familiar with Looney Tunes.
Right.
We were familiar with Disney and Mickey Mouse. And all of a sudden, Christopher Lloyd freaks us out.
I think because this was the fan vote, there's something about body horror to infants that I think here's what I would do. I would ship these two down.
Ooh, I love that.
Put that there.
And I know the community loves that as well.
Wow.
Okay.
Now, as scary as Large Marge is, it is a jump scare. I think the biggest jump scare on this list is Bilbo.
I agree.
That no one saw that coming.
I
That
agree.
came out of nowhere. It always gets.
Well, perhaps the body horror of Cyborg could take Large Marges.
You want to swap this out for Parasite?
No, definitely not. I think Large Marge is.
all right, so
Look
gentlemen,
at the
is this-
symmetry we have
Is this
here.
our final color
Well,
coordinated-
aesthetically, it's so pleasing.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I think there we have it then. This is our final film ranks. Coming in at number 5, Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Shout out to Paul Rubens and Tim Burton. Large Marge. Number 4, The Wizard of Oz, The Flying Monkeys. Number 3, we've got Willow. Thank you again to the community for that one. Number 2, The Lord of the Rings, Bilbo Baggins, Gollum's Out. Terrifying. And number 1, the amazing Christopher Lloyd as Judge Doom, revealing himself as a toon and with those eyes, those horrible eyes that killed Bob Hoskins' brother.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, what a great film.
What a great film.
And years later, killed Bob Hoskins.
Did it really? R.I.P. Bob Hoskins. It's going to keep happening for every
My
movie
God,
we
who's
talk
alive on this list? Ian Holm, dead.
Yeah, jeez Louise.
Everyone from Wizard of Oz. Those monkeys?
Wizard of Oz.
You think any of them are around?
Nobody's around
Call
anymore.
in if you're a live monkey.
Nobody's around. So, gentlemen, I want to thank you both, Eric, Tommy, for the contributions for this film ranks. There you have it, the definitive top 5 most horrifying moments in a non-horror movie. Thank you so much for joining us today on Film Ranks. We're going to have a beautifully constructed listicle out on our main channel, so make sure that you check that out, share it around with your friends, tell them what they're missing on the live show. Make sure to tune in where we're going to be covering top 5 toys ripe for a Barbie-like movie. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the Breakroom.
Lawn darts.
And please, we love our audience, so make sure to leave a comment below if we missed any horrifying moments. Who knows? You may make it into a future list. We'll revisit this all the time. Until next time, thanks. Bye.